everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Destination Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Stoker. We've got a fun one for you today. We are going international. We're going outside the United States. I'm really excited. Our guest today is Gavin McKenna. He's the head of marketing and digital communications at Visit Belfast. Gavin, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Adam. Very excited.
Absolutely. So first of all, I get a lot of people reaching out about the show. I don't get a lot of people from Belfast, Ireland, to come on the show. So I'd love to understand how you found the show and what made you decide to reach out.
I've been in destination marketing now for a year, and when I enter into new segments, I like to learn about the industry that I'm going into. I'm a big one of trying to find peers within marketing, because marketing can be quite an isolating job because everyone has an opinion. So I actually started listening to the Destination podcast last year, and it has just been great because I get to understand what the American DMOs are doing and understanding how the European DMOs can learn from them and build off our marketing. So it's been great. So then I decided that I would reach out and see if there was any opportunity to collaborate. So very excited to be here.
Love it. And I'm so glad you did. I think, Ireland's one of those places, especially, and we'll talk about this today because it's been depicted in so many films, and yet it feels so far away that those of us in the U.S., it feels like this mystical, magical place, right? And so it'll be fun to make it a little more tangible in our minds and understand a little bit more about it. But before we dig into our conversation today, I would really love to have you share, and you've heard this on the show, so you know what's coming, but what's your dream destination? You're not allowed to say Belfast. If there's anywhere in the world you could go, where would it be?
No, I actually am hoping to go next year. So I don't know if you can tell by my background, but Dollywood. So I'm a massive Dolly Parton fan, a big country fan. So the idea would be hit Dollywood, ideally meet the Queen, and then go to Nashville for a few days, and then fly over to Dallas and catch a Dallas Cowboys game. I'm not a Dallas Cowboys fan. I'm a massive fan of the cheerleaders. It dropped in Netflix, and I have been obsessed ever since. So those are the three. So it's keeping it to the southern states and trying to get as much into Nashville as possible. But it's been, the goal for this year is that we're going to that there, but we'll see how it goes.
I love it. You've got your itinerary, it sounds like. You know exactly where you want to go. Who goes with you on a trip like that?
So it would be my friend, Abby. We've been talking about it for years. I threw a spanner in the works last year. We were planning on going, and then I got a dog. So I couldn't leave a puppy by herself. So, and I don't know, for anyone who has a dog, you get so much anxiety about leaving them. So it's kind of stepped me back. We were also in the middle of launching my other baby, our social first website for Visit Belfast. So I didn't want to leave in the middle of a project. So this is the year we're hoping to go.
Oh, I love it. And, I got to say, that's one of the two of the major joys in life for you are conflicting a little bit there, right? Everybody that has a dog loves their dog. But it does conflict with your ability to travel, right? Especially leaving a puppy at home. And so it's those two joys in life really clash when it comes to pets and travel in a lot of cases.
I had actually went to the EMEA Simple View Summit, and for the first time we were really excited to go. I was lucky enough to be on one of the panels, and the entire time I was sitting on my phone freaking out about my dog, ringing the dog sitter, making sure she was okay, checking the camera when she was on her own. It was one of the worst experiences, but it gets you across it. But yeah, it's big confliction.
Yeah, I love it. Well, how about a favorite travel memory and an experience that you've had that stood out to you in your life?
There is a few, but I will say I was 13 and my aunt and uncle got me for Christmas a trip to London. And we flew out the day after Christmas. It was Boxing Day, and we flew out to London, and we went to my first West End show. It was The Lion King, and it was absolutely. I went on to live in London a few years, when I went into my 20s. So it was absolutely amazing because I had actually never been outside of Ireland, and going to London at 13. Everything's so big, and I remember coming out onto Piccadilly Circus and seeing the iconic Piccadilly Circus billboards. And I remember saying, really, this is so, so cool. And that really kind of ignited the whole passion I had for marketing, because it was so bright, it was so colorful, going onto the tube, seeing the advertising everywhere. It was absolutely fantastic. So it always stuck with me. Um, and it was such, yeah, it was such a vibe. Just that I remember being like going to see the Lion King, and it was just incredible. But like, it was just, yeah, it was just a really, really amazing experience.
I love that. I've made enough friends now in the United Kingdom where I really need to make my way to London at this point, but I haven't done it yet. And it sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's an incredible city. I lived there for almost 3 years, and it was just the best time. I think I went too old in life. I was 29 when I moved over. I should have went when I was in my early 20s, but it was a fantastic experience. Really recommend going to London, but go to Belfast first. You can fly to Belfast first. We have direct flight, and then you can fly over to London.
I love that. I was going to say maybe I need to hit Belfast, London, and a couple other places while
Absolutely.
I'm there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Gavin, thank you for coming on. And I think there's going to be a lot of interesting conversations that we can have that both destinations on the UK side or in Europe can learn from, but then also destinations here in the United States can. And by hearing what other people are doing, I think in lots of cases we just get a different perspective on how to approach the projects we're working on. Before we get too far into that, I want to understand your background. You mentioned living in London for a few years, but what led you to be the head of marketing at Visit Belfast?
Yeah, it kind of how it happened very quickly, but well, I say quickly. I've been in marketing now for 10 years, and the trend that's currently going around, like 2016 is the new 2026, has kind of scared me, because I'm like,
Yeah.
where was I 10 years ago? But I've been in marketing for 10 years, and specifically, I entered into hospitality marketing and then moved into agency. So I've always been in fast-paced environments and was really into social, and kind of grew up with the social with Instagram growing up. And then I was very lucky to be one of the early adopters of influencers in my career. So I kind of got really into influencers. And as I developed and I moved into agency, I kind of moved away from like the organic copywriting kind of vibe and moved into media buying. And that was fantastic. I got to work with some amazing brands like Harvey Nichols and Marks and Spencers, and but I always stayed in the social realms. Until I moved back from London and moved into a more holistic media approach. And Visit Belfast was one of my clients, and I've always admired Visit Belfast. Belfast was my first home away from home. I came here for university, and even though I'm only 40 minutes away from where I grew up, it's an amazing city, and it always changes. So like it doesn't stay still, but it doesn't feel like a big engulfing city. It's a very like walkable, commutable city. So it doesn't feel massive, but it is. So when Visit Belfast, I was looking for a new change in career, and Visit Belfast were hiring for a senior digital manager. I applied, was very lucky to get through. It was a very competitive process, and I came in at a crucial moment. The website was currently being changed, and it kind of all then sort of happened. I blinked, and I've been there a year and a half, and I'm now head of marketing, digital, and communication. But it all happened so quickly. So I can't really
Yeah.
tell you what happened in the year. I just know that it happened. So when people go, "How do you feel?" You're like, on the day that I was told I was going to be head of marketing, the website had just gone live. It all had happened. So I didn't really have time to sit back and be like, "Oh, that was that's happened." But yeah, no, it's been an amazing journey. And like the Visit
Yeah.
Belfast team, I said it to everyone. I couldn't be in the role I'm in without like the team around me. It's a real support system. We're very tight knit. We work really well together. And then our director is really open to letting me try new things. And I was very fortunate that she put complete trust in me from the day I walked through the door, because it was so fast paced, and she needed someone to support her as the old senior digital manager was leaving. So it was quite overwhelming, but
Yeah.
it's been an amazing, honestly, like it has been. I've become very passionate about the city again, which has been
Yeah.
great. I've become very passionate about my career. I've taken to more being active on LinkedIn, which is so cringy at times, but I'm very passionate about it. But also, I think the website has been honestly the career highlight for me, because I'm so proud of what we've all built together.
Yeah.
And being like being the first in the UK. We weren't the first in Europe. Switzerland beat us to it, but to say that Belfast had done something so innovative is just amazing. So
Yeah, I'm excited to dig into the website. Before I do, though, and it sounds like you've had an amazing journey that led you to Belfast, but I love talking to people who have worked in both the agency side and the destination side,
Mhm.
because I kind of feel like in order to truly understand both sides, you have to have experience on both sides, which,
Absolutely.
by the way, I haven't worked in a destination and I'm saying that, right? But I've had to interview 400 different destination marketers in order to get up
Yeah.
to speed. But I feel like that's a really interesting transition, especially if Belfast was one of your clients,
Yeah.
because you had unique context that I think other applicants didn't have as they were trying to get the job. And I'm curious, what was it like working as an agency on Belfast, and then how did it change your perspective once you got on the other side? And specifically, what did you wish you knew on the agency side before you got over there?
I think it's a really good question. I do think, and myself and our senior PR manager, Amy, she was an agency side, and we are big believers that you should cut your teeth in agency in any marketing career. It kind of prepares you to be adaptable. It gives you your core skill that you need to be confident in marketing, because marketing, as you know, everyone has an opinion. It can test your resilience really quickly, and it can be both isolating and you're in a full team all at once. So absolutely, I would say to anyone to do your agency first if they're considering the career. On the flip side, Visit Belfast is a DMO, so the unique part of being a DMO is it's still sort of an agency. It kind of feels like an agency. Everything's moving really fast. You have loads of different plates spinning at once. So that's kind of what attracted me to that world. And it was it's a unique experience, because once you go brand side, you kind of lose. I always worried that if I went brand, I was going to retire to brand side. I was going to like go in and have a quiet life and not worry and just go at a very slow pace. But that wasn't the case. Moved into Visit Belfast, it's even faster at times. But I had actually left my role for a job that didn't work out. So I had already left to go to a broadcast company, and it didn't work out. They had made a massive restructure in the middle of this and kind of offered me a job that no
Hmm.
longer existed and tried to shoehole me into another role, which I wasn't for doing. And then because I had decided I got to the point in my career where I wanted to do something I was passionate about, and Visit Belfast had reappeared, and I had thought, I'll reach out, I'll apply, not thinking I would actually get an interview, because again, I had more insight to everything. The good thing was, they didn't go easy on me, which was great. It was a very robust, it was a very robust process, but they basically talked around the commerciality of the digital world and how we could develop it, and it was completely away from what I was used to. So when I worked in um, the agency for that service Visit Belfast, it was all about campaigns. So we got to work with, and I get to work with her now, a fantastic marketing manager, Claire, who was really, really innovative and wanted to push out new ideas. And she gave you that space, which was great. She had just come into the role. So we got to work with her, and it was really, really fun. I got to see like all the cool things around Belfast, got to really promote the key place feeling and kind of showcasing how Belfast looks to the ROI market. But we did not really go into the digital realm. It was very much above the line with digital support. So that sat in a different thing completely. So I did go into the interview a bit blind, not realizing. Um, so there was that element. So going in was a bit strange. I got the job, which was great, and then all of a sudden, it was very much. I was into the website, and
Yeah.
had I the big thing I wish I had known was how fast paced Visit Belfast was and how hard everyone was working. Because going in, I thought I was going to come in and just, oh, I'm brand side now, so I won't have to work as fast. Because you don't, when you're in the agency, you don't see, all you see is
Yep.
the comms coming from your client. You do not see what's going on in the background. So when I came in, I didn't realize how busy everyone was and like how quick everyone was turning around. So it kind of was, I came in, thought I had a month off and was like, okay. And then all of a sudden I was back in. Um,
Yeah.
so I think I should have really prepared myself for that. But then I also said that if I didn't prepare myself for that, I probably would have grown complacent and bored. It was, you didn't have time. And it has been one of the greatest parts of the job is that you're never bored. There's no day that's the same. And you're also working with everyone who's working at the same pace as you, and you're all wanting to do the same thing, which is to make Belfast the best place. Well, it is already the best place in the world, but to showcase that to the world. So
I love it. I love it. Well, let's dig into the website, because one of the things that I think everyone in the destination marketing industry seems to agree on right now is that the website model that we've used in the space for the last 10, 12, 15 years is broken. And there's a lot of people trying to work on solutions. In fact, I did a webinar just yesterday with another UK company, actually, Destination Core, where we've partnered on building out what we believe to be the solution for the website problem. The reason that I found my conversation with you really interesting is that where I went for what I believe the solution to be was a little different than where you went with what you believe the solution to be. And I think that's a good thing. And I think we need to talk through why you went the direction you went, because I really liked your perspective in our call that we did to prepare for this discussion. And so I would love for you to walk through what is a social first website and why did you want to build a social first website?
So I will be so upfront. We did not plan to build a social first website. And that is so upfront. We wanted to basically refresh and update our website. And, we had moved away from, our website was 10 years old. So it has done its job. As we would say, it owed us nothing. It was time to move on and time to refresh. And, looking at all websites across the DMO world, like they're all very much digital brochures, and it kind of just
Mhm.
showcases you the high gloss and high amazing each destination is. So we wanted to really take this moment to step back and say, right, what's time and how do we improve, like, how do we showcase Belfast in a more innovative way? And through a very competitive tender process, I wasn't involved in the tender process. I had come in when they had just been appointed, but Simpleview won the tender for Visit Belfast, and it was basically because of their expertise in the sector. They are unmatched, and they know, and it's great now that they're more cohesive now with their US counterparts, because we're getting to see all the insight from the US teams moving into the European teams, which is fantastic. Now the UK and European teams are phenomenal, and we have an amazing team. But when we did our UX workshops and we were talking and looking at what we went in, I think the best bit of advice we were given was, do not come in with examples of other DMOs. Look at other DMOs and look at the ideas that they have, but do not come in saying, I want this website exactly like Visit Barbados or Visit Jamaica. That's not.
Mhm.
So we looked at other websites and came back in, and we sat down and we were talking around the importance. We had just moved to a video first approach on our social media, and we were talking about how fantastic TikTok has been for the tourism industry and showcasing destinations. And I have just given a talk to our partners, and in 2025 alone, there was a 410% increase in how people search destination terms in TikTok. TikTok's now the number one search platform
Yep.
for picking your destination. So that was so important for us. We wanted to showcase that. Our social media was thriving, and Simpleview did showcase a lot of examples around how to use the platform CrowdRiff and how we can showcase UGC better. So it was kind of the way things were going. And Visit Vegas, honestly, their website is phenomenal, and how they really showcase Vegas. They showcase it through the lens of social, and it is, honestly, it was fantastic. It just was just so innovative and so simple. And we had said, let's look at those aspects and how can we bring that in. So we knew those functions were coming. And it was a team meeting where we were discussing around how we would love the photography of Faye. We wanted it to kind of feel more candid, like we were there, but we weren't there, and kind of capture that social essence of Belfast. So all that started to build. And as it was starting to build, we started to realize that this could have legs, and this could be a social first website. Um, and that's when we started to really ramp up the content. Now we're very much in our early stages. Like, we are fully social first, but we are starting to adapt more of our itinerary to be more social snippets and how we build that in. Um, so we looked at that and started to build that up. And by the time we had finished, we had all the parts that we basically had to make it social first. So as I mentioned, we looked at like the dynamic modules on Simple View, which allows you to start to showcase different aspects of your site based on people's preferences. And
Uh-huh.
that it's very simple, but the way we utilized it was there was hours and hours of tagging that went into the background and how people search the website and how they optimize and how they look and what they're interested in, so that it would start to behave like a For You page and start to showcase everything that's personal. And that was a game changer. Like, that was what I wanted. I said, when we seen it, I was like, absolutely get that in. We also invested. I come from media, as I mentioned, and the big thing that was drilled into us was test and learn and A/B test, because when you're driving revenue from your ads, you need to make sure that they're ready to go. So we do have the A/B testing module, which allows us to test different variations of our partner profiles, again, to make sure that they're optimal. So we were treating that as like what we would do with the way I would have treated paid social ads, where we were looking at different variations and different copy
Yep.
tech forms and different buttons and different imagery, and that's how it's starting to go. So while the public can see that really nice social content that we all love, it's not just that. It's behaving like the algorithms of social, where we're tagging constantly. Like, my team are never done tagging. Like,
Yeah.
the minute something comes up, they're in tagging and how they optimize that. So they're in the background. So it behaves basically like your own Visit Belfast social media platform. It's your own window
Yeah.
into Belfast, and it starts to show our partners more authentic. We are, the way we say it, we are the influencers, and our influencers that come in are our contributors. So that's how we look at it. So we
Yep.
give it in a fresh space. So that was our first social. That's how we got to be the first social first destination website in the UK. And it is a mouthful to say it, but we're very, very proud of it. And we're, again, like, we're already looking now to how can we improve this and how can we build
Yeah.
this. So we're already tinkering away in the background. And for Q1 of this year, we working for April. We're very excited about what we're about to launch and how. And our big mission now is to how can our influencers get absorbed by this, so that it's run by a whole program that is for Visit Belfast. So Visit Belfast doesn't segment. It's all social first. It's all driven in that way. So we're really excited about that. So that's how it came out to be, how it's going. I think as well, when we did a lot of the research, a lot of people, and I'm this myself, I hate it when an ad brings me to a landing page that looks nothing like the ad. I am
Uh-huh.
immediately, you have lost me, and I may never return. So that's what I had said. When our ads started going out on our campaign, we started to use a lot more UGC, and we started to tailor our landing pages to start to showcase the lead imagery across the entire website, because I wanted to break down friction and make sure that it was frictionless, that the user hit it, saw it, started to plan Belfast, and then ultimately visit Belfast.
That's such a great breakdown of what a social first website should be. And I actually think if you break it down philosophically, the bet that it sounds like to me that you're making is that option one is to have kind of a destination driven narrative on the
Yeah,
website. And the belief, if you're going to go with a destination driven narrative, is that that narrative is strong enough to convince people to eventually be inspired and book a trip to the destination.
absolutely. Yeah,
Whereas the bet that you're making is that the social proof that comes from other people talking about the webs or about the destination is going to be more impactful and more inspirational than a destination driven narrative on the website, which is why you've gone social first in everything that you do. Is that a fair kind of synopsis?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like with the amount of research that we've done on this, like for instance, there's 96% of millennials go to a destination for the destination, um, and 2/3 of them post daily. So I, th- I don't know what the exact figure is, but there's hundreds of pieces of content being created every minute about destinations. And we're in a world now post COVID, and I hate that I'm saying post COVID. And I hate even mentioning the word COVID, but we are post COVID. And what happened in COVID was obviously the e-commerce brand dialed up, and we hit such a plateau of ad fatigue. It changed how we all view ads. We're so skeptical now, and we can spot ads. Marketers could always spot ads, but it didn't stop me because obviously I'm a marketer's dream. If I see a good ad, you've got me. But the consumers have now changed because it's so hard to get them to. It's so hard to convince them through ads because they think it's skeptical. So when you apply that authentic layer and you're seeing content from people on TikTok and Instagram, and they've taken really amazing photos of your destination, that's the hard work has already been done because you're showing that people are here and people love it. So don't just take
Yeah.
our word for it, take our visitors' word for it. And that's why we went so hard on that.
Yeah. So if I'm understanding you correctly too, you're not only showcasing user generated content on your website, you're leveraging user generated content in your paid media and
Yeah.
driving back to that social content on your website.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what we're doing. With rights approved. Have to say this loud. Rights approved. We always have
Yes.
because again, you do the wrong thing and you don't get and you use the wrong rights image. It's just yeah. So we'll
Yep.
always reach out and we'll say absolutely. We'd love to use your media. And we're also again we started trialing like for our influencers, Spark ads and collaborative ads on Meta and getting that boosted out there. And we've seen a massive return. But yeah, as you said, yeah, UGC is a lot. So we'll always have our hero imagery and we'll always have our high impact hero messaging. But then to support that, we have our UGC.
Great, great. So I would encourage everybody that's listening to go check out the Visit Belfast website, not only now, but also when they do their new release at the end of Q1. And Gavin, I would actually love for you to let me know when that's done, and I'll share on my LinkedIn channels and stuff like that that the site's done and launched. But I think everybody needs to go check that out and look at what Visit Belfast has built on their website. So great job, Gavin. Love
Thank
what you've
you.
done there on your website.
Thanks. Yeah, no, we're very proud of it.
This year was a whirlwind. I was able to go to so many conferences and meet so many of you in person. It was such a wonderful experience, and I'm grateful for every event that had me come speak. It is something that I'm continuing to do. I've really enjoyed it, and I want to continue to be able to speak at events. My spring is already kind of filling up for next year, which is a little crazy. I've already got a wild all-night flight plan to get from one conference to another, but I really would like to be able to come to as many conferences as I can so that I can interact with each of you and be able to share some of the things that I've learned and that I'm seeing in the industry and where it's going. So if you have interest in having me attend one of your events, whether it's a governor's conference or if you're one of the major associations in the industry, let me know. I want to make sure that I get it on the calendar as early as possible, and I can't wait to see you all in person. Reach out to me, Adam, at thebrandrevolt.com if you'd like me to come speak at your event. Well, I want to shift gears a little bit because it would be crazy for us to have a conversation about Northern Ireland without talking about some of the films and productions that have been created there. I know Game of Thrones is probably the recent just major hit. Of course, Titanic also is a component of the story in Northern Ireland. And so I would love to have you talk about when you have assets like that Hollywood kind of took care of it for you a little bit with those assets. How do you maximize the impact of something like that in a sustainable way in a destination like Belfast?
Yeah, I think first of all, I really understand a lot of destinations and their hesitation because they don't want to be stuck with the title of Homos X. Um, and it can sometimes feel gimmicky and it's not a strong enough hook. So it's definitely like, it is definitely, screen tourism is legitimate. It's a growing market, and anyone that's ignoring it is really like, you're already behind. Set jetting has become a massive part of Belfast. People are flying in for the day and coming to Linen Mill Studios and experiencing where Game of Thrones was filmed and going to see all the locations as well. So it's a fantastic part, but you need to do it authentically, and you need to look at how you tie it into your destinations. So it's looking at, is there anything that speaks from a destination point of view before you even jump into it? So when we're looking at that, we would look and see if we're able to. There's a show called Blue Lights. It's very, very popular. It's a crime series, and it's filmed in Belfast, and it has got such buy-in from the people of Northern Ireland, and particularly in Belfast. So when we're looking at that, we did a post where we had very trendland. We had a photo of the TV show location, and then we did a video of where to go, and it blew up. Everyone was really, really excited about it. It went semi-viral, where everyone was commenting on it saying this is a fantastic, saving it, and became very savable because people started to do it. So we looked at that from a destination lens. But when you're looking at all the other aspects of what productions do, it kind of creates like a flywheel effect. So it showcases that Belfast as a city is big enough to hold its own against the likes of Hollywood. So they choose Belfast because of the local scenery and the welcome and the amount of people. I think Luke Evans actually was here filming How to Train Your Dragon, and he has said the people of Belfast are so welcoming and treat you as if you have lived there all your life and will come out of your way. And obviously he's famous, so everyone's going to come over and be like, how are you? But it's that welcome that brings it in. And like, it is just an amazing opportunity for Belfast, because 50, 60 years ago, that probably wasn't going to happen given the conflict. So it's fantastic to see where we're at. And it has really changed the perception of Belfast into a place with genuine cultural weight. Like Game of Thrones is one of our top hitting search queries on our website following Titanic. Well, they're neck and neck. And at times Titanic will overtake, and at times Game of Thrones will overtake. But people are coming back and experiencing it. And Linen Mill Studios is one of our partners. And it's so cool to get to work with them because they're doing such innovative work. But to come and see like what the original set, like your experience in history. Like I remember when Game of Thrones was filming, and I worked in a hotel, and the hotel room, you were able to overlook into the sets that was King's Landing when Cersei blew up the set. And I remember seeing it blowing up multiple times, and you didn't know what was going on, and it was just incredible to witness. So yeah, it has done wonder. It's an amazing opportunity, and for destinations, it's so important, yes, to lean into it, but to make sure that it fits with your destination brand. Don't just jump on the fad. Look at it and say, how can we interpret this for our brand media?
I think that's what I want to ask you a question about, because I think there's a lot of destinations who, yes, they're thrilled that there's been a big movie or TV production that's represented their destination. And in fact, it's resulted in tourism. And I think Game of Thrones is a good example. There are parts of Game of Thrones, including Cersei blowing up the entire city, right? Or the Red Wedding, or what, there's parts of Game of Thrones that are going to make some stakeholders go, I don't know if that represents us the way we'd like to be represented. And I 100% agree that we need to be careful, right, with our brands. But at the same time, we don't get to control what's in those films. We don't get to control how we're portrayed or represented in those films. But when something gets as big as a Game of Thrones or How to Train Your Dragon or Titanic, there is demand. Visitors want to experience it. So you can either craft an authentic experience that makes them feel welcomed for wanting to go see where that was shot, or you can say, well, that's not our brand. We're leaning away from it. And one of the examples early on when I was doing this podcast, I interviewed someone from Fargo, North Dakota. And Fargo is a TV
Mhm.
show that's been created that makes it seem like everybody in Fargo is a murderer almost,
Yeah.
right? Like, and so instead of being afraid of that, they actually built some landmarks and mementos to the movie that made it a tourist attraction for people to come and see it, but they
Mhm.
figured out a way to do it so that it still fit their brand. So they were able to separate the experience and their brand enough to where it still worked. And I would encourage destinations to find the through lines, right? To
Yeah.
figure out where it works and build assets and experiences that encourage people to continue to want to come visit the destination. And when you turn your back on a production like that, I really think it hurts the long-term impact that you can have on the destination.
Yeah, I think it's you want it to be authentic still. So I will say Titanic, the film is fantastic. The exhibition, because we Titanic was never filmed here, it was built here. So it's a lot deeper. It's in our blood. And the Titanic exhibition, the experience is unlike any other you'll ever do. It is fantastic. It showcases the entire history of Belfast from the linen industry straight through to the shipbuilding and showcasing the maritime. And we are a maritime city, and it's phenomenal how it does it. And at the end, it does showcase aspects of the movie. It showcases what James Cameron did, but I think that's a prime example. Like, people are aware of Titanic because of the film,
Yeah.
but they're not aware of everything that happened with Titanic and how amazing it was for Belfast, because Belfast has always been an innovative city,
Yeah.
and it does an amazing job because absolutely it honors Titanic in what happened, but showcases Belfast and how Belfast played a part in building such an iconic ship, but not just an iconic ship, an iconic company, Harland Mulf. Um, that's probably one example. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people think that Titanic, it was filmed here, and it wasn't. Um,
Okay.
it was built here, so that's the big part. But it is hooking into that experience and understanding if it is culturally relevant. So I love that idea. I love what Fargo did. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. And I think we have leaned into the production line so well that we're very passionate about it. We're very proud of it. And we're big supporters. Like, we have Liam Neeson is from Ballymena, and it's 30 minutes away
Nice.
from Belfast. We have Jimmy Dorn, who is from Hollywood. So again, another big export of ours. And it's fantastic that we have those actors who really showcase Belfast. And that's why I think we lean into movies and those elements a lot more, because it showcases what Belfast is. And the movie Belfast, I really recommend everyone watching it. It's an absolutely fantastic story. So
Okay.
you lean into that and you see what's happening. And again, yeah, it's just making sure that don't worry about what the movie is doing. Look at the locations, look how it's been represented, because it's fiction. So when
Yeah.
people are saying, oh, in Game of Thrones, there was the Red Wedding, it's a fictional story. It's where they did it. Like, people are wanting to see the locations and feel part of it. And I think that also ties into that fandom, because like, travel isn't about escape anymore. It's all about being identity led and going to those places that like showcase your personality. So like for me, as I
Yeah.
said, Dollywood. But for people who are really big into Game of Thrones, it's giving people a place to go that necessarily wouldn't have those places, because you have the likes of
Yeah.
Universal Studios and Disney World where it's a housed theme park. But for Game of Thrones, there's never going to be, well, there might be a Game of Thrones theme park, but they have the studio and they have those locations, so they fly over to experience that. And I think that's really important, because you're giving a sense of place for those who don't have
Yes.
those locations that they can get to go to as easy.
Uh, Gavin, any like just final advice that you would give, like a simple piece of advice that you would give to any destination marketer that's listening?
I think, don't be afraid of casting. Your casting. Just don't be afraid. There's gonna always be 100 people that say that's not gonna work. But if you have that feeling and you think it's gonna be it's gonna do something, it's either gonna prove that you were wrong, or it's gonna prove something. So lean into it and trust your gut, because that is what makes marketers stand out from people that have an opinion on marketing. We are in it day and night and we know exactly what's going to work. And also look for opportunities that may not fit into your industry. So for instance, like look at Instagram accounts that aren't destination led for those great ideas, like absolutely, and try them.
Yeah. Great advice, especially on the testing side of things. If you're testing because you want to prove that your hypothesis was correct, you're not going to like the results of the test. But if you're testing truly to learn and implement and let the audience tell you what it wants instead of confirming your bias or your original hypothesis going in, I think you're going to have a great time testing everything.
Yeah, no, 100%. Go in and test everything. And like, I sound like my lecturer 10 years ago, but like always remain curious, like always look to see what we can do, because marketing, don't get me wrong, it can be very hard at times, but it is one of the best jobs you'll have, because you get to really touch people and get to connect with them in an emotional way just by showing a piece of like a billboard and getting that people to resonate with you in that perspective. So yeah, keep testing and trust your gut.
I love it. Gavin, if people want to ask you questions or learn more about the stuff you've talked about today, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
LinkedIn, or they can actually email me at gavinmckenna@busybelfast.com if they want to. I'm always keen on talking and getting connected.
I love it. Gavin, this has been fantastic. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this episode and for reaching out.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Awesome. And thanks everybody for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to leave us a rating or a review. It helps us continue to bring you amazing guests like Gavin. Thanks everybody, and have a great week. I've talked a lot lately about the transition that needs to take place in this new era of AI, of going from being paid for what you do to being paid for how you think. And that goes for every individual marketer at every organization, but it also goes for every agency that's serving destinations. And right now, so many destinations are paying their agency for what they do and feeling that there's lack in how they think. If you want an agency focused on the right thinking first, followed by making sure that the plan is executed correctly, talk to me or one of my team members at Brand Revolt. We are really focused on this transition, and this is part of the reason we've stayed small and nimble to make sure that we're building for the future. We've made this transition and are still in the process of perfecting it, from being paid for what we do to being paid for how we think. We want to be a strategic partner and not just a bunch of executors, button pushers. We want to make sure that we are doing the very best for the money that you're paying. In many cases, a lot of agencies are probably already leveraging AI to execute on a lot of different things. But man, if you're going to be paying an agency, shouldn't you be getting the very best strategic recommendations, strategic direction, so that you know that your plan can be successful? At Brand Revolt, we want to help you do that. Make sure you reach out to me, Adam@thebrandrevolt.com, and I'll make sure that my team of strategic thinkers does an incredible job helping you build the best marketing plan you can for your destination. That's Adam@thebrandrevolt.com.